Rich in Kathleen, Georgia. Hey, Rich, thanks for listening to Sirius XM. What's up?
Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to say I'm a Southerner, and I am a law-abiding, gun-toting American, and I am all for government making laws that say that they're going to start going after stores that sell guns illegally, manufacturers who knowingly sell backdoor sales. I'm all for getting mentally challenged people, their guns taken away from them. But the problem that I think that why sometimes progressives lose the argument is because when, or don't win the argument with gun people, is because when we see cities like Chicago who are run by Democrats and there's not the same amount of outrage, that vastly more people have been killed in Chicago this year than in any mass shooting, but there's no outrage, and I'm not saying that it's because Rahm Emanuel's a Democrat and a friend of our president, and you did notice a Republican said our president. I just think that there needs to be consistency in the outrage with the gun violence that is going on. And I do think that there's an issue with it.
Yeah, Rich, I don't disagree with you. And if you can stay on the line, it's great to hear from refreshing to hear from a rational conservative. As you know, as you've heard me say, I am not in favor of eliminating all guns from the United States. I have said for a long time that I think that owning a gun is a right in the same sense as owning a car is a right. In other words, it's a conditional right, just like free speech is a conditional right. You can't run into a crowded theater and start screaming fire or whatever. I mean, there's lots of places where free speech is limited. So let's try and figure out, you and me, Rich, let's try and figure out what reasonable limits on weapons in the United States would be. I am not a hunter shooter, but I am a sportsman shooter. And, and I think basically there's three categories of people who own guns. There's people who own guns for self-defense. And for that, typically you want something that's, I would think most people would typically want something that's relatively small, that a woman could carry in a purse, or that a man could keep in the glove compartment, or, keep in the sideboard beside the bed, or in a gun safe or whatever. But self-defense, number one. Number two, sports shooting, target shooting, which is what I do. Number three, hunting. Nobody needs an an AK-47 for any of those things. Do we agree on that, Rich?
Oh yeah, that is a true statement.
Okay, so would you agree with me that just basically weapons of war, the long guns that are capable of semi-automatic fire that can hold, more than say 10 rounds, or what is some reasonable limit that makes them no longer a hunting device? I mean, as you probably know, Rich, if you even duck hunters, I mean, you got to use a duck. So you only have 3 shots in your shotgun. You've got to use a duck. What's it called? Duck load. Duck plug. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not a hunter, so I don't. But there's a sportsman would ridicule somebody. So okay, so that's the assault weapons ban. That seems like a reasonable thing. What do you think? What do you think about my suggestion?
I do.
Go ahead.
I understand that, and here's the. We have a saying where I'm from is, I'll take a whooping when I did something wrong, but don't whoop me when I didn't do something wrong.
Right.
And part of the thing is, it's kind of like how I look at it is yes, do I think that I'm a hunter? Do I think that I need a semi-automatic, an AK-47? Do I need to go deer hunting with the AK-47? No, it takes the sport right out of.
Right, it's crazy.
Out of that. But it's kind of like the maximum speed limit on any road in the United States is 70 miles an hour. Why do we? And it's been scientifically proven, and statistics show that if you go over, once you start increasing speed in a car, you're more likely to be in an accident, more likely to do this. Why do people collect cars that go 100 and something miles an hour? Why do guys ride motorcycles that go 0 to 60 in 2 seconds?
Well, I think I could tell you why, Rich. And this is a different experience than most Americans have. Although we used to back in the '60s or '70s, or I forget when it was, but it was in my lifetime. Nevada had no speed limits. Remember that? I mean, this was some decades ago, and people used to, people who were into muscle cars and people who were into cool cars, that could really go fast and owned a Porsche or a Corvette or a Vet or something, they would figure out an excuse to go to Nevada so you could hit one of those long straightaways where you got 10 miles of visibility ahead of you and you can hit 130 miles an hour on the road. I lived in Germany for a year, and the Autobahn, I used to travel it fairly regularly, at least once a month from Nuremberg to Munich, which is about a 4-hour ride, a 3 or 4 hour ride at 150 miles an hour, and borrow my friend's. He had an Audi. Well, I think it was an 8000 or something. The German numbers are probably different than the American numbers, but that thing, I never got the pedal all the way to the floor, and I got going so fast it scared the bejesus out of me. I think I hit around 110, 120, which was 170 clicks. The speedometer goes up to 250 kilometers per hour, and I'm like. And I was going as fast as other people, and I'm like, I'm at the edge of losing control on this. So that's where I'm saying, gun ranges would be the equivalent of those highways in Nevada and in Germany, where people who really want to push their toy, for lack of a better word, as hard as they can for all it's got, right? And so, if we said, yeah, you want to play with an AK-47, that's fine. Go to a licensed gun range where you've got, some professional people who can teach you how to handle it and not hurt yourself or hurt anybody else. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are, Tom. And I tell you what, I still think there's a couple of things, and maybe this sounds crazy coming from a conservative Republican, but until you start going after the shop owners that are illegally selling guns, until you start going out of, we want to, it's like our drug war. Arresting a guy selling a dime bag on the street is not going to stop the drugs.
Right.
You got to go after the Pablo Escobars of the world and go after, and that's the same way with you got to make people be honest, because unfortunately with freedom, you stretch that. And I think if you start going after the businesses, even the businesses that the fact manufacturers, because there's no way that these illegal drug trades that's going on is happening through just stores. It's got to be backdoor stuff through manufacturers also.
The gun trade, yeah. I mean, well, there are some. I mean, that was what was that operation that Fox News was all hysterical about, where they were running guns down to Mexico and trying to follow them so that they could nail the gun runners and. Fast and Furious. It was started under the Bush administration under a different name, and say what? Wide Receiver was the name under the Bush administration, but the program was the same. They were trying to track that down, but those are from legal gun dealers, mostly down on the southern border. But the gun show loophole, yeah, I'm with you. Let's close that, and the straw man buyer loophole, which is how those guns are being bought, which says that if you walk into a gun shop on the Mexican border and you buy 100 guns and simply swear, yes, I want 100 AK-47s. These are for my own personal use. And then the minute you walk out of that gun store, you can decide, I really don't want these guns. I think I'll sell them to somebody. And there happens to be somebody there with a truck and a pile of cash for you. You say, I just decided, here, take these guns. The NRA has gotten the laws in those southern states changed to the point where that is a legal process in Arizona right now. And that's what the feds were trying to, they weren't trying to stop it. They were trying to stop the flow of the guns. But, it didn't work out all that well. And it's become very political. But yeah, I think we've got a problem. We need to have rational conversations about this. Rich, thanks for participating in a rational conversation. Thanks for listening to SiriusXM. I appreciate the call. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.